Oh, this is great. This is phenomenal. So this is what's going on, everybody. This took about 10 minutes, mate, to get this shit going here.
10 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, because I'm on Wi-Fi here, I'm bumping it off my phone, and Mink is just sitting there getting ready to go on. And then when he sees it starts saying "go live," you can see him getting ready, like he's getting on camera. So, what's up, buddy? How's San Diego treating us?
San Diego's naval town. It's treating us pretty well. Temperature-wise, weather-wise, not a cloud in the sky. And the forecast says we're not going to see a cloud in the sky for our entire visit.
Oh my God, that is absolutely fantastic. So we went out for a little dinner last night. I learned it's funny when I used to do the show with Jody Mack for a little while on 1050.
Oh, yeah,
you remember that back? Okay. So I remember Jody saying at one point something about the ATM. The ATM came up, right? And he just bust out a roll of, I think it was like maybe 50s or maybe 100s. And I'm like, dude, why do you carry around that much money?
Roll of hundreds.
Yeah. And he's like, well, you never know when a card game's going to bust out. He'd or a horse race with that guy. So he never went to an ATM. So we're at dinner last night, myself and Chris Magikowski, long time, the best engineer in the world, and Mink. And we go to pay the bill, and Mink starts slapping out the cash. And I learned last night that Mink has never once gone to an ATM in his entire life. Is that actually true?
That is true. I've seen an ATM, but I have no idea how it works. And for me to actually take money out of it, no.
So you never did that?
No, I've never done that. So I have no idea how it works.
Okay, well, it's simple, but I got you. If you haven't done it, it's not that simple. I understand that. But so you're coming out west, and let's face it, St. John's is supposed to win tomorrow. Heavy favorites. We'll get to all that stuff.
Oh, sure.
And then, of course, Kansas, if it is Kansas, will be a tough matchup. But
it'll be Kansas.
I would think so. But we're going to be here for a while, is what I'm saying. So you actually went to the bank, you parked your cars, you got out, you got a big envelope full of money for the San Diego, California trip. Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. I got you. All right. Okay.
No, and I have a credit card if we have any emergency expenses.
I hear you.
But and then you find out when you're in a hotel and you go get either a Gatorade or a soda or something like that, and you try to give cash. No, we're cashless.
Oh, that drives me. I can't stand that stuff. It drives me absolutely insane.
So I just charge it.
No, you know what the worst is too, and I don't know. You don't drive as much. I drive to.
What do you mean?
I'm saying you take the train a lot. Like when every time I see you in the garden, I'm like, how'd you get here? I took the train. I took the train. Okay. That's what I mean. So I always drive. Like I'd rather lose a few bucks and drive than whatever. But long story short, I notice every time I park the car, there's one avenue down from the garden, and it's like 50, 55 bucks, whatever. I expense it at the end of the year. I get it all back, but I almost never have money to tip the guy because I almost never carry cash. And I'm like, do you have Venmo? No. Do you have PayPal? No. Do you have this? No. So maybe you're onto something carrying around this extra cash there, Mink, because it's become more of a hindrance than it has not for me. So maybe you're really behind the curve, but maybe by being so far behind the curve, you're actually ahead of the curve.
But the thing is, once you get to the curve, someday, now whether I'm alive to see it, there'll be no such thing as cash.
Yeah, you're probably right. I want to ask can I give a quick flash? I think everybody would love to see this.
Of course.
Okay, I want to make sure. So look at Mink's board here. Look at this. How phenomenal is this? So Mink, now, when do you start putting this together? How long does this take? Obviously, Northern Iowa is different than UConn, who you know like the back of your hand, and obviously Big East teams. When did you start cranking this out? How long does it take to get ready for this?
For the board and the stats and all the information usually takes 2 hours.
Wow, that long. Okay. What did you? I already did my research on Northern Iowa. And by the way, guys, we apologize for this shaky table. It's nothing we can do about this. But they're a low-scoring team. They're going to try to grind you out. They play defense kind of like Bennett used to play that backline defense at Virginia, which worries me a little bit in this sense. Not that listen, St. John's, the athletes and the depth, it's not even close. But one of the things that Zuby does great is a great passer, and if they are taking away those passes in the interior, which their defense tries to do, that could take away one of the really good things that St. John's does this year. So let's start getting into the game a little bit here, buddy.
Yeah,
talk to me.
One thing will be tempo-wise, and I'll equate in some respects Northern Iowa to Seton Hall, because Seton Hall is a tempo team, a slower pace team.
Mm-hmm.
And even more particular for those fans that watch every single game, Harvard. Harvard is one of the slowest tempo teams in the country. And St. John's had to, and a matter of fact, I had Steve Maciel, I remember, on the pregame show, and I asked him, I said, "You're not going to let Harvard sucker you into this with their tempo?" And he says, "Absolutely not. We're going to push it, and we're going to make them play faster." And you would think that that's going to be one of the strategies. The main strategy against Northern Iowa is to make them play fast, because they are not in their comfort zone.
They can't do it
when they're going up. They only average 69 points a game, but from a defensive standpoint, it's 61. So they want to play the games in the 60s, and St. John's wants to play the games in the 80s.
I think we're doing a pregame show here, Mink. I wish the game was tonight. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love hanging out in San Diego for a couple of days with nothing to do, but damn it, I want the games to start. I actually think this is what we do when we're sitting courtside. All right, so yeah, so you Northern Iowa is like, if this thing gets into the 80s, they have no shot. If this thing gets into the high 70s, they're cooked. We will know fairly soon. Not that it can't start one way in terms of the pace and eventually change. We've seen that happen a lot with St. John's over the years. But, if this thing is, I'm just throwing out a score, I don't know, 49-44 with like 7 minutes to go in the game, then St. John's clearly has not been able to establish the pace. I don't think that that's going to happen. But it is March, and you don't know. The thing that worries me about, or not worries, the thing that confuses me about Northern Iowa is that they went on this great run. It's a good conference. The Missouri Valley. So it's a very, very reputable, very respected conference. But it's not like they were the power and they dominated and they're just this really good mid-major. They finished 6th in the conference during the regular season. And from like January 3rd until the end of January, they lost 6 of 7. So, of course, you take them seriously. But is this a team that, are they really good? I mean, really? 6th in the MVC?
We're going to find out. But the one thing that they have in common with St. John's, now the conferences obviously are not one of those things that are in common. There's a difference. Even though the Missouri Valley is a good conference, it's still one big conference.
Yep.
And St. John's steamrolled through the Big East. Northern Iowa finished 6th in their conference, and with wins over Evansville, Illinois State, and Bradley and UIC in the championship game, those games were not close either.
They beat them pretty good.
And,
I know.
And they scored 84 points in the championship game.
Yep.
So the point that I'm bringing in, from a momentum standpoint, both teams have that momentum. St. John's certainly is on a roll. They've won 19 of 20. And Northern Iowa is playing its best basketball, even though their record 23-12, 11-9 in conference, they are playing their best ball right now as well. And that does count for something, whether it's enough to put them over a hump.
You mean coming and playing hot, playing
That's right.
I agree with that. I agree.
So that's something, but I think there are a couple of things to look at here from my standpoint.
Okay. Mink's going right forward. Let's go.
I'm going right forward.
Keys to the game with the Mink Man.
A is the tempo.
Yeah.
And number 2 is, from a St. John's perspective, and that's basically what we are.
Well, that's all we care about. Let's be honest.
That's
right. John, come on.
Let's be honest.
Northern Iowa, they're just here so we can keep it moving. Let's be honest, Mink. They just happen to be in our way before we get to Kansas.
Here's something to look at. For the last 2 months or thereabouts, the officials that St. John's has had have been Big East officials.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there will be not one Big East official.
Is that true? Not one? You know that for sure?
During the tournament, they come from other conferences. So is there a period of adjustment from whether it be a coach's standpoint or a player's standpoint to how the game is being called?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I just making something up?
Well, no, I don't think that you are, because think about what happened last year up in Providence. Kadari Richmond got those fouls very early, and that was an issue. It's like number one, Rick's got the reputation, and the Big East in a good ways, and the Big East referees, they respect him, they give him the little room, and they know how his teams are going to play, very physical. And then you get a ref from, I don't know, what other conference? The Pac, I know Pac's not even around. Name a conference. I don't know. The Big Ten, whatever it might be. Even though that's a pretty physical one. I'm trying to think of the MAC. Help me out, man. Just name a conference, will you? Name any conference. Okay, there you go. Big 12, right? And they're not quite as intimately familiar with St. John's style. And Seton Hall plays very aggressively and hard. And if you talk, and listen, that's one of the reasons why last year they weren't really ready for Arkansas. It's a different kind of athlete in the SEC, as you know. And that's why Rick scheduled differently this year, which I think will help them hopefully now. But I think we saw it last year where we had referees who were not familiar with the style of St. John's. And it really hurt them, specifically Kadari Richmond, who didn't play much. Yeah. They killed them.
So I think that's something, to look for in the game against Northern Iowa is that fact. And maybe more specifically, if St. John's moves on to take on Kansas, that my point would be, I think, magnified a lot more tomorrow.
Okay, so now, if you remember, let me see, it wasn't the championship game, it was the Seton Hall game. Remember we did the little video on the briefcase there, the MInk Man's briefcase, over 40 years going strong? I can't tell you how many people loved it. Like the amount of views, it was like 25, 30,000 people. They cherish this, man, as they should. The briefcase is 40 years old, and for those who didn't see the video, and we don't have the briefcase here, I'll get a picture of it tomorrow when we're doing the game. That was given to you by Donnie Walsh when you were doing the Pacers games back in 85 or 86.
85, 86 season. Yep.
Because you were carrying your notes around in what? A brown paper bag. A paper bag.
Brown paper bag. My notes and a cassette.
The cassettes, yeah. Not even like a knapsack. Why a brown bag, dude? What are you selling drugs? A brown bag? Oh, you got money in there, Mink? A brown bag? What is this, Carlito's Way?
And Donnie looked at it, and he goes into the Pacer office and brings out this blind bag.
That's phenomenal. That's a great story.
And my wife wanted to replace it at Christmas time. I thought, are you kidding?
Meaning that Christmas or this Christmas?
No, several years ago.
Yeah. No.
And I said, no, this is unless it 100% totally collapses.
Yeah.
It's
an artifact. It's the MInk Man's weapon. Come on, buddy. You're the MInk Man.
I'm the artifact.
Wow.
That's the.
We're all getting there at this point.
That's the main thing.
Mink, think about this. So when you jump into broadcasting, what was your first actual year on the air anywhere? It was in the 70s?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, when I was a student at Butler.
Yep.
And I was on the air, and back then, and it does not exist now. Our student radio station at Butler was 37,000 watts.
What?
On the FM dial,
for those,
on the commercial band at 104.5.
For those who don't know, WFAN's 50,000 watts, or at least it was the 660 signal.
But that's
AM. But think of it, so a college, and now, like sometimes when I'm driving in the car and I'm just banging around, like if I don't want to hear Sirius or I don't want to listen to sports talk, which I really don't anymore for obvious reasons, or I'm just trying to get a song, and like sometimes I'll stumble upon like the Seton Hall radio station, and they actually play some good music that I like, and that's like 1,000 watts. You're telling me your college was 37,000 watts?
It covered, the entire state, at least the central portion of the state of Indiana.
Wow.
And as students, we basically said WHAC, we learn at the listener's expense.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
basically was. But the first game I ever did, they did not put freshmen on the air to do play-by-play.
Okay.
So it was sophomore. Football game was at the Rubber Bowl in Akron as Butler.
Against the Zips?
Yep. Butler played at Akron. And my first basketball game was actually at Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky.
Wow.
Butler
was Denny Crum the coach at that point?
Denny Crum and Junior Bridgman was the star for Louisville.
I don't know that name. I don't know that name. Junior Bridgman.
Yep,
okay.
Played with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
And became a very, very successful businessman. Just passed away a few years ago. And that was my first basketball game at Butler.
Imagine, and I ask you that because number one, I wanted to hear the story, and I didn't even know all that, and I'm sure everybody enjoys that because you're Mink and everybody loves you. But just to imagine if I said to you in whatever year, 1970, late 70, whatever, hey Mink, in the year 2026, you're going to be sitting with some knucklehead wearing a Yankee cap, looking into a computer, right? Actually communicating with the world on a laptop live in San Diego. I mean, think about how much the industry's changed. It's crazy.
Yeah, I would have said laptop, computer. What are those things?
True.
I'm used to a regular typewriter, and matter of fact, the the board that you flashed up on the computer screen, folks, I I didn't buy the templates or whatever they call it. I mean, this is done with a ruler and a typewriter.
So first of all, where'd you get this? Like, is this from what this is hard metal right here?
Yeah,
where did we get
that
from?
came from an engineer at WFAN, Walter Mason.
Okay, and he made it for you.
Yeah,
for this. That's awesome. All right, and now
and
and then he just taped these guys here.
It's awesome. And it's basically done. I've done a million high school games in Indiana, and that was made for high school.
That's awesome.
And I've just adjusted it for college and pro.
Did you think, because I did, and I remember it was like game 2 or 3, I forget who they were playing, and my son, who watches every game, as you know, he goes, Dad, I don't know about this team this year. Like, he didn't like them very early. And I remember saying, nah, they're going to figure it out. You know, I remember saying Sannon's going to be a great shooter and Jackson's going to do this. And, of course, Zuby's Zuby and Bryce has to shed the rust and all the basketball reasons that I gave him why I thought that they would be a lot better. But I'll be honest with you. As the non-conference season went on, the Kentucky game, the Auburn game, even Baylor, who was not very good, won that game. But I'm sitting there saying, man, at that point he was 10. I'm like, is my 10-year-old son right? Because the team didn't look like they had this really high ceiling. I know you felt it. I felt it. What do you think was the turning point for St. John's this year to kind of get going to another level?
I think two things. Early on, I have to say I had some doubts.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I thought they played extremely well in Vegas. Even the loss to Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa State, that could have been a win.
That's a good team too.
Arkansas, Alabama, could have gone,
yep,
our way as well. Baylor was regarded as a good team at that point.
True.
So, but I think they actually took a step back from Vegas, and that's when I had some doubts. I said, we're not playing as well as we did early on, because Coach always mentioned, he says, we have to peak, not so much peak at the highest, but play extremely well to be competitive in Vegas. And that's where he geared some of his practices early on to be competitive there. I know for a fact that they worked on Iowa State for a long time.
Yeah.
Even while they were playing other teams. So, but as far as this was concerned, I think the insertion of Dylan Mitchell into the starting lineup, everything changed there, because
you nailed it. That's it. That's the moment. I agree with you on that.
That's because the front line starting was supposed to be Mitchell, Hopkins, and Ejiofor, and you can make an argument that it's Mitchell first, but Hopkins turning a corner, and Hopkins has turned a corner here in the last few weeks, because St. John's is playing extremely well now. I mean, it's not only the 19 of 20, it's the last few weeks. And Zuby has, I think, personally, he's playing the best all-around ball that he has in his 3 years here right now.
I think it's criminal that he wasn't an All-American, that he just made honorable mention. I know that not everybody gets too wrapped up into that, but I mean, that's still a prestigious honor. And for Zuby Ejiofor, who scores, rebounds, blocks, he's the defender of the year in the conference, scholar athlete, first team All Big East. I mean, the anchor for one of the better teams, certainly in the country. They're number 10 in the poll coming into this tournament. I thought really he got disrespected, and I thought that St. John's got disrespected. Now, I'm not complaining. Would I rather be in San Diego or Buffalo? I mean, I wouldn't be sitting out by a pool if we were up in Buffalo, but I tell you what, if we were up in Buffalo, there'd be about 1,000 St. John's fans we'd see walking the streets. And right now, we're not really seeing that because we're 3,000 miles away. It's expensive, and it's hard to get here for St. John's fans. So they got screwed.
Okay, here's my take on both those. The one for Zuby is simple, and I know there's the disrespect and all those things, and I agree with all that.
Yeah.
But I'll look at it a different way. The pro scouts and the people that know, they know.
I know. I understand. I don't disagree with that. I know, but still.
Now here's the other thing with the seating and things of that, and this is now I could be totally off base and totally wrong, but this is the way I think. All right, I think they got disrespected. I think that the what they did during the Big East tournament got overlooked. But the question is, to me, did they get overlooked? And this is the reason why. If you look close at the brackets and everything like that, I think the committee had it done by Thursday.
Then they're a bunch of idiots, if that's the case.
So, and you say, all right,
I think they're idiots
why
anyway.
do they have to have it done by Thursday?
They didn't.
Did they want to take the next 2 days off? and I would say they wanted to get it done by Thursday so that television could have their choice of what they wanted to put on TV for the first and the second round to get ratings.
Yeah.
So then I would go this way. Is this a coincidence, or am I just picking something up?
No, it's a theory.
CBS.
It's an interesting theory.
CBS at 7:10 Eastern time.
Yeah, no.
It's St. John's.
Of course, they're not going to put them on at 12:26 on a Thursday. You're going to try to maximize the main market in America.
So you have that. And then you go to Sunday. It would probably be the 4 o'clock window on CBS on a Sunday.
Yeah, 4 o'clock East Coast you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I got you.
Okay. Ratings-wise, 4 o'clock on a Sunday Eastern time. St. John's in Kansas. Don't you think that CBS wanted something like that? So the committee gets in there and said, how do we have to rearrange the heck for this to happen? St. John's going, I'm sorry, UConn. St. John's going to get better ratings than UConn.
100%.
How do we rearrange this so that CBS gets what they want?
So, like,
that's my opinion.
It's an interesting opinion. I'm not here to refute it. I think you lay it out well. I think that there's a lot of elements of that are probably true. I also think it's a colossal crock of shit that St. John's gets disrespected in this regard. And here's where the Big East needs to get their act together. They got to figure out this TV stuff. All right, they have to figure this out. I think that they need better leadership at the top. I'm not talking about St. John's. I'm talking about the conference, because when you look at this now. And I'm not trying to put you in a rough spot. I'll say this. You don't have to jump in on this. It's different, Nick. I get it. But, when you have, the ACC, the Big Ten, everybody in cahoots, then you got, and no disrespect to Peacock, they do, soccer and what they do very well. You got a St. John's UConn game. St. John's UConn on Peacock. Like, that tells you a lot about the way the Big East is viewed. Now, I don't think that it's not like there were two other teams that were viable that should have been dancing. The Big East was down this year. We all know that. The Big East was as down as maybe I've ever seen it. St. John's really good. UConn really good. Villanova good. Seton Hall tough, good. And then there was a massive drop-off after that. So I'm not saying that they should have had more teams here, but I don't think that the Big East gets the respect. And they can keep saying that, and these network executives can keep doing that, and the Big East will keep winning championships because Danny Hurley's got 2, Jay Wright's got 2, so they can sit here and say, well, it's a little teeny tiny Catholic schools, Big East. Yeah, they've also won 4 of the last X amount of championships. I had to get that off my chest. You don't even need to jump in on that. I just think it's unfair, and I think it's a real problem. All right. When was your first year doing St. John's? I always get this mixed up because I was here before you with Crispino. You came in, and then they went to WFAN, and Chernoff would not let me do it because I was on 1050 and games were on the fan. So I had about a 3 or 4 year window where I was not doing the games and you were doing it. What year was that? 08? Am I in the neighborhood?
From a full-time standpoint, I believe this is 18. And
so 18 and 8 is 26.
It would be Norm Roberts next to the last year.
Okay.
Okay. So from a full-time standpoint.
Absolutely lost. I think forever they were greedy. And now I just think that they might still be greedy, but the money's been taken from them in some regard. So they no longer, have the power that they once had. but they're still clueless. I mean, the NCAA won't bounce around because I got to jump on a conference call for something that I can't announce yet. Jump that call 11. You miss WFAN, Mink? You miss it. I don't mean the commute because Bendigo, hey, Mike, do you miss being on the air?
Bendigo had the same commute as I did, and we talked many a time. But you know what? I'm not thing.
Yeah.
So
well, what do you miss about it though? More the people,
just being there. I mean,
the juice of a big story
from the beginning.
Yeah,
and you know, and I remember the first year of the radio station like it was yesterday. And,
really?
Oh yeah, because for reasons we don't need to get into. But Mike, at
Eddie
that
Coleman.
time, Ed Coleman.
They got right. They were pretty good. They were
sure.
buddies, right? They get along.
Yeah.
How was it a good show?
It was a good show.
You liked it?
I did updates on that show because they, you know, I was off the weekends and the midnights.
Yeah.
Was
it water?
It was sewage.
I'm John Manko.
340 Street. I took pictures of the entire. I went on a Sunday evening, and I had I don't know about 40 pictures, and not one person is in the pictures, and some people said, "Why did you take pictures of all this stuff?" I said, "Because as the years move along, I'll give details on what the work conditions are, and they'll say you're exaggerating. And I'll give you, I say, here's a pack of pictures. I ain't exaggerating one
pictures. They're a lawsuit at this point, you know. Forget about the books and the pictures.
I got pictures of the ceiling.
I hear you.
I mean, that.
Yeah.
When we get closer to 40 years, I'll rehash these.
Listen, I love working with. Here we go. Makes having a little fun now. We loosen them up.